Okay, so we are recording. It's December 10th, 2015, and it's Team Fit by Example and Team Infinite Inspiration. And we're going to talk about volume tonight and how volume oftentimes will make you more money than rank advancements will. And while rank advancements are nice and shiny, and I'll tell you what, I missed 1-star diamond by one day. And I really wanted 1-star, mostly because that means on our team, on our big team, there's a tradition of giving a Tiffany necklace to your 1-star diamond. And I was one day away from that Tiffany necklace. I wanted that present so bad because I am gift driven and freebie driven, but it's fine. I'm not angry. No. And so we're going to talk about tonight about how rank advancement doesn't necessarily mean money. It's building for volume. So I will share my screen with you and we'll go over some basics and then sort of get into the nitty gritty of it all. So alrighty. So here's my very sad blank slide. Volume equals money. Okay, so let's start with the basics. What is volume? Okay, and I'm glad we have a variety of different levels of people on here so we can sort of go over everything and ask questions, and we have people who can answer and stuff. So volume with Beachbody is the way of measuring what you have sold, essentially. So you may notice that when you go online to buy or sell something, almost every product, aside from, I think, clothing and coach-specific items like Shakeology shaker bottles, every item will have a price, and it will also have what's called a PV, okay? You're paid based on your volume and your team's volume. So PV is aligned a little bit with how much things cost. So the cheaper the item, the less expensive the item, the lower the PV. Mostly, the more expensive the item, the more PV it is worth. Okay, it's an estimated thing. And so you'll notice that a challenge pack is going to have more PV than just the program. Shakeology is 90 PV, and that is something that you'll remember forever, is that Shakeology is 90 PV. Everybody talks about it being 90 PV. So you are paid based on your volume and your team's volume. So your team includes your coaches, their coaches forever and ever, and anyone that your sponsoring coach adds to your strong leg. And I'm going to show you an image of this. But basically, like you may have seen, I think Olivia's looked in probably at her back office, and Lindsay, maybe you have too. Everything's set up to look, unfortunately, like a pyramid. And so you'll notice that you can add coaches to a right side or a left side. But so can the coach above you. They can add coaches to their right side and their left side. So you have been placed on your side. Whatever side you have been placed on your coach, that's still their right side or their left side. So they continue to put coaches underneath you, and those coaches put coaches underneath them. So one thing I noticed is when I signed up to be a coach, I signed up during a program release and during Summit of that year. So basically Lee signed like 6 coaches in one night. It was crazy. Lee is my coach. And so when I first logged on and looked at my back office and looked at my downline, I was seeing people on this one side of my leg that I had never, ever heard of before. And I was like, who the hell are these people? Like, they're not my coaches. I didn't sign them up. That ended up being what we'll call our strong leg. And I use that term a little loosely, and I'll explain why. But that is the leg that you share with your upline. Okay. You may share it with their upline. It all depends on how things roll out. But at the very least, you share that leg with your upline. And so they can continue to put coaches on that side, and those coaches continue to put coaches on that side, and you will benefit from all of those people. So if you go to your back office and you look up graphical genealogy, any little weird cartoon man that you see adds to your volume. If you can see them, they help pay you every week. And so that's what is considered your TV or team volume. So we've got PV, that's your personal volume. That's what you buy and also what you sell to your customers. And then you've got your TV or team volume, and that's everything your team is doing, all the coaches underneath you and all of their customers, okay? So to put it very, very simply, your volume goes back to zero every single week. So Wednesday at midnight, essentially, or, you know, whatever they do in LA when you get paid, your volume goes back to zero. You do have an opportunity to bank volume, but that goes away if you go inactive. So we'll talk about that at the very end. But essentially, think about it as every week you're starting fresh and brand new. So weeks go from Thursday to Wednesday. Everything you sell in that week, everything you buy in that week, everything your coaches sell in that week, all rolls into your paycheck on Thursdays. Does anybody have any questions about your basic volume info? All right, good. Moving on. Okay, here's my back office, and I am sad to report that I did go down to Emerald this week, which was a surprise to me. But because I'm not worried about rank anymore, I'm only worried about volume, I don't tend to check what my rank is doing at any given moment. So when I took this picture today, I was Emerald. So you can see a variety of things here. You can see little blue men. Those are coaches. They do not have a rank. They're just coaches, their rank. They're not an Emerald or higher. So if you are not an Emerald or higher, you are not getting cycle bonuses, okay? And we'll talk about that in a minute. But a cycle bonus is basically money you make off your team. You don't have to sell a damn thing, okay? And that's what is amazing. That's what makes these people $1 million, is their team selling things, not them selling things, their team selling things. If you are not an Emerald or above, you cannot make a cycle bonus. That means the only money you are making is money from stuff you sell. And that can get exhausting, only selling things. You want your team to work for you, okay? So at this point, everybody in blue is not cycle bonusing, okay? On the right side, you can see that there are people below me, Tom House, Sarah Miller, okay? They are not my coaches. And when I signed up, I was like, who the hell is Tom House? It's weird. I don't know him. Never heard of him before in my life. I found out that he is a coach of somebody above me who added him below me because I am on their leg. So if I was Tom House, I wouldn't be able to see Michelle Schumann, but he'd be able to see Rachel Fong down here. And he'd be like, who the hell is Rachel Fong? Well, she's my coach. All of these coaches over here, they're all people I know. See how they say PS, PS, PS? That means personally sponsored. That means they are my coaches. So Daniel Schumann, that is my coach. Karen Ganatra, that is my coach. Linda Proctor, that is my coach, okay? And so essentially, I only put people on the outsides. These inside legs that you see, those are people that other coaches are adding to themselves. But I still make volume off of those people. So any person you see, I'm making money off of them. These little gray guys means they're inactive. And usually, especially for people like, for example, Karen, who's a Shakeology drinker, she's not a working coach. She probably canceled her Shakeology for the month. She probably had to. So she put it on hold for a month. She went inactive. It doesn't matter to her as a coach because she's not, trying to buy or sell anything. If you look at your picture, here is your left leg, obviously on your left side. Here's your right leg. In my case, my right leg is generally considered my strong leg because if you think about it, all these coaches here are coming from a variety of different people. Tom House is Kathy House's coach. Sarah Miller is Lee Schumann's coach. Or Lee Ryan. Wow, Lee Schumann. That was her maiden name. Lee Ryan's coach. So all these coaches are coming a lot quicker than I can put coaches on my left leg because I'm the only one who can put coaches over here. But tons of other people can put coaches over here. So the thought behind that is generally you have more coaches, so there's going to be more volume, so it's going to be your strong leg. Doesn't always work out that way, but we'll talk about that. Any questions about this part here? All right, perfect. Next. Okay, when you log in to your back office, on the left-hand side, once you scroll down, you're going to see something that looks like this. I put two of them here to show you two different options, but it's going to say my volume. Projected PV, projected customer PV, team volume amount, left leg team volume, right leg team volume. All right. This is the most important piece to helping you figure out what you're going to make for this week or what your goals might be if you have a goal of making a certain amount of money, okay? Projected PV is what the computer thinks you're going to be making that week based on Shakeology orders, based on maybe how you've been doing in the past in terms of selling things. Projected PV is just what you buy yourself, okay? Customer PV is what your customers are buying themselves, all right? So your PV is these two numbers added together for the week only, all right? Team volume amount. This number is just these two bottom numbers added together, your right leg team volume and your left leg team volume. So you can see that it adds together, okay? Your left leg team volume is every PV for every single person on your left leg. So if you went and asked every single one of those people on your left leg how much their PV was for the week, and that's, where's my arrow? That's this number here. You would get this number, okay? And if you asked everybody on your right side what their PV was for the week, it would be this number, your right leg team volume, okay? This here shows us that simply the bigger number is your strong leg and the lower number is your weak leg, all right? In this case, this is not me, but if this were me, remember how my right leg had all those coaches on it I didn't know? If this was me, this would be an example of how your weak leg or the leg you're building by yourself isn't really always your weak leg, okay? It's just sort of what usually happens, but it doesn't always happen that way. And in fact, you don't want it to happen that way if you're building for volume, okay? So here's an example of having a very strong leg and a very weak leg. If you look over to the other side of my screen here, you've got a weak and a strong, but these are very, very close to each other, okay? Very close. You've got a weak leg that's just 600 PV lower or TV lower than your right leg. This is much more even than this side, and this is gonna get you a lot more money, obviously, not only because the numbers are much higher, but because they're more equal, okay? So that's how you understand this particular little thing that you'll see here. The bigger these numbers, your left leg and right leg, okay, the bigger your paycheck from stuff you're not selling, from stuff your team is doing for you. All right. The top two numbers are what you'll get paid. The bottom two numbers are what you'll get paid from what you sold. And the bottom two numbers is what you'll get paid from, or how you figure out what you'll get paid from your team. All right. So this little wording here is just a repetitive of that. And in order to stay active, so remember I had those inactive people, you have to maintain a certain PV every 5 weeks. So that means either you have to buy something or you have to sell something of a certain PV every 5 weeks to stay active. So normally that counts as your Shakeology. If you're a coach or an Emerald coach, you need 50 PV every 5 weeks. So if you're buying Shakeology, you're good. If you're selling one Shakeology a month, you're good. If you're selling, 2 programs without Shakeology a month, you're good. Okay. If you're a Ruby, you need to be doing 75 PV a month. And if you're Diamond, you need to be doing 100 PV a month. So once you're Diamond, it's not just good enough anymore to buy Shakeology every month. You also have to be selling something else to get that 100 because you only get 90 from your Shakeology order, or buying something else from yourself every month. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about this slide? We good? Excellent. Next. All right. here's where we start to get into the nitty-gritty math situation. All right. Here is the potential earning. I'm trying to get these little men, your little face down at the bottom. Stop it. It's hard to read. Okay. All right, good, perfect. All right. Here is the possible amount that you can get paid at the first 3 ranks, because that's what we're going to focus on right now. Once you're an Emerald, every time you do what's called a cycle bonus, which I'll explain in a minute, you make $14. You don't, like I said, you don't have to sell anything. You cycle bonus, you make 14 bucks. Yay. The most you can make as an Emerald in 1 week is $250 from not selling anything. Add that to stuff you sell, and obviously the sky's the limit. You can sell as much stuff as you want in a week. But for your team, the most you can make in a week is $250. That's still $1,000 a month, which isn't too shabby, or more than $1,000 a month. No, $1,000 a month. Ruby makes $16, and their weekly income cap is $1,000 a month, or $1,000 a week. So as a Ruby coach, you could be making over $4,000 a month. It's more than I make as a teacher. Then if you're a diamond, you could make $18 for a cycle bonus, and your weekly income cap is $2,000. So you could be sitting at diamond, not any higher rank, and still make $2,000 a week. And don't sell anything. That's not including anything you're selling. Okay. So here's what your this little chart will look like. You're making and this is where math comes in, and I'm not math, so that's why Bethany and I had to chat today. Emerald, you could make up to $250 a week at $14 for a cycle bonus. So that means that each week you would cycle bonus 18 times, because 18 times 14 is about $250. It's a little bit more, but they cap you at $250. Okay. That means that those numbers that you saw on that slide before, you want your total number to be about 5,400 points, volume points. Okay. So if we go back real quick, which I think we can, you can see over here, this was 8,400. That's much, much higher. So this person, and I know that this person's a diamond. So this person is making $18 on every cycle bonus. And her cycle bonus is much more than 18, okay? You either want your weak leg to be, a couple different ways you can make that is if your weak leg is 1,800 and your strong leg is 3,600, or you have balanced legs at about 2,700 each, okay? And again, I'll explain the math in a second. Ruby, you can make up to $1,000 a week. Not only do you make more per cycle bonus, but you're allowed to cycle bonus more, 32 times. So you can have more points than an Emerald and be able to cash out on that. So your total team volume goal would be about 9,600. And there's 2 possible ways of breaking that down, 3,200 and 6,400 for weak and strong leg, or if you have balanced legs, about 4,800 on each side. And then finally, we're going to stop at diamond. They make about $2,000. You can make up to $2,000 a week at $18 a cycle bonus. You can cycle bonus 112 times in 1 week. And then here's your team volume, and then your weak leg, strong leg, or your balanced, half on each leg. So I know that's confusing, but what I want us to really focus on is the price per cycle bonus, and also looking at your volumes on each leg. And I'm going to show you how to do the math, and then we're going to go into our back offices and we're going to try it. Even though we did get paid, so most of us have probably almost no volume. Thursday's not the best day to practice this, but it's fine. Okay. Any questions on this? I know it's confusing, but hopefully I'll answer some holes on the next slide. Okay, so what is a cycle bonus? Now that we keep talking about cycle bonuses, what the hell are they? Every time your strong leg, or the leg that has the most TV, gets 200 points, and the other leg, your weak leg, or the one with the least amount of points, gets 100, those clump together and they go away, and that equals 1 cycle bonus. Okay? So you can essentially do that. 200 and 100 become best friends and walk away together and live happily ever after 100 and some odd times in 1 week as a diamond. So here's an example. If you're looking at someone's chart here, you've got an emerald with all of those people on one side and a couple people on the other side. This sort of looks like me right now. Let's say last week I had 540 TV. That means this person's PV, this person's PV, this person's PV, this person's PV, blah, 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 for the week equals 540. And these two people's PV equaled 200 total, okay? This is how we would do the math, and we would break it down like this. This is obviously my strong leg, the 540, so that's the leg we're gonna keep taking 200s from. This is the weak leg, so we're gonna take 100s from those. So we minus 200, we minus 100, that's 1 cycle. Here's what's left, 340 and 100. Ooh, we can cycle again. Here's 200, here's 100, and we're left with 140 and 0. Now that we have less than 100 in one of those columns, we can't go anymore, so we stop. All right. The leftover TV is banked into your carryover volume and will be used as extra volume to create cycles for following weeks. I'll show you that later. But essentially, you can see what happened here. We've cycled twice in 1 week. Okay? So then at the bottom, we've got the math. If they're a diamond, the first cycle equaled $18. The second cycle equaled $18. 18 plus 18 is not number 36, but $36 for a weekly team cycle commission. So you made $36 from building an awesome team. Good for you. From being a leader, okay? So every time you can take 200 from your high number and 100 from your low number and get rid of them, that's a cycle. And that's how you make either your 14, your 16, or your $18, okay? And once your numbers get up into the thousands, you can see how this 200 and 100 thing can happen a lot of times in 1 week, right? Just think of that 8,000 number. How many times do these numbers go into 8,000? Quite a lot. Any questions on this slide? No? Great. All right. So here's how to calculate your cycle bonus. And I would love if we could go into our back office and try this. This is what Bethany and I had an in-depth conversation about earlier. Determine your strong and your weak leg, okay? You are gonna add your strong and your weak TV together, okay? Because if you're really getting high numbers, in the thousands, you're not going to want to sit there and subtract 200, subtract 200, subtract 200. That's stupid. We need a quicker way to do that. So you're going to add your strong and your weak TV together. So if we were going back to this slide, our strong and my weak together would be 740 TV. Okay, so we add those together. Oh, I've got a calculator. Let's see. 740 is what I've got. Okay, so now let's go to the next slide. Divide that number by 300, okay? So divide by 300. That equals 2.46. I actually think I did this math on the next page, okay? Round that number down to the nearest whole number. So you're never rounding up, you're always rounding down. So the nearest whole number of 2.46666 is 2. Multiply that number by the amount of number for your rank. So look at that. Remember, cycle bonus twice. 2. 2 times 18 equals 36. All right. And that way does not tell you right off the bat how much rollover you have, but we're not worried about the rollover just for this week. We just want to know what we're going to make in 1 week. And that's how you figure it out. Okay. So you add your numbers together. You divide by 300. You take that whole number there before the decimal, and you multiply it by whatever rank you are, whatever your amount is, okay? So here's the math. Oh, I did it for both. Oh, that was nice of me. Okay. So here we've got that lower number here. So I took 622 plus 180 and I added them. I divided by 300 and I got 2.67, and I took away the decimals and I rounded down to 2. For a diamond, I times it by 18. And so this person's cycle bonus for that week, if this was midnight on Wednesday and that's how the week ended, they would be making $36. And actually, look, you don't even need to add them because that little chart adds it for you. It's brilliant. It's like they knew you wanted to know that stuff. Down here, we've got the big paycheck coming out, okay? This person, which I believe is Kelly LaVere, because this is who I stole it from, so she's above us as well. Added it together, got 8,457. Divided that by 300, we got 28.19, so we rounded that to 28. 28 times 18 for a diamond is $504. Okay, so Kelly that week made $504 without even selling anything. Now she did sell something because you can see up here she's got her PV, so she made money off of that too. But without selling anything, she made $504, which is pretty sweet for Kelly. Any questions about this? Great. Okay, this is just extra information. Carryover volume is kind of a sweet deal, okay? Carryover volume comes from volume you didn't use the week before or many weeks before. So if you look back here, this 140 TV, that gets saved for you. Huh, how thoughtful. So that next week, you can add it to that left leg number. So when you go here, this is just your number for that week. That does not include your carryover volume. So if you go into your back office and you find your carryover volume and you find out that you have 5,000 TV carryover on your left leg, you've just now added 3,948 plus 5,000 plus 4,509 divided by 300, 44. Oh, hello, now you're cycle bonusing 44 times instead of 28. 44 times 18 is $792 just from stuff you didn't use before, okay? Now, this is where building for volume and not for rank is huge. And I am going to, this is the end of my slideshow. I'm going to stop share with this and I'm going to share you what my back office looks like. So, because I want to show you what my carryover volume looks like. Hopefully that's still there. Hold on, I want to make sure I don't have to sign in. Yeah, okay, great. Actually, this is Dan's back office, but that's cool. We'll use Dan. That's fine. Share screen. Okay. All right. Let's start at the home page. This is, yes, this is Dan. Okay. Welcome, Daniel Schumann. Okay, so if you're scrolling down, okay, so see, this is a really bad time to like do this because Dan has nothing because we literally started the day at nothing. But okay, so this isn't going to work as well. But I want to do this anyway. If you go into my business, my volume, and my carryover volume, you can see that last week, what the heck is going on here? Why is it only saying October 10th? Oh, crud monkeys. Okay, Dan is no longer, oh, we're gonna have to log in today. Dan's cousin, I hate her, I don't, got pregnant and quit coaching and left him as a non-emerald. And so he stopped reaping the benefits. So become an emerald as fast as you can because he's losing money now because he keeps banking all this volume and not doing anything with it. It's just sitting there. All right, we're in me now. That's what she said. I forgot we were recording. Awkward. Okay. Here's mine. Okay, so my right leg has a whopping 15 points now. Woo! Go right leg. And my left leg has nothing. But don't worry because this is actually perfect. So we're going to go into my volume, my carryover volume. La-di-da-di-da. Okay. Here's my carryover volume. Okay, this is perfect. My carryover volume looks like this. My left leg carried over 63, and my right leg carried over 5,670 points, volume points, okay? I am wasting all of these points. If I add all of my coaches to my left leg, just keep adding them to my left leg, this number is actually going to start to be used, okay? Because for right now, what's happening is, okay, my left leg had 15 points, right? Let's say my left leg stays at 15 points. 15 plus 63, okay, is 78. I can't even cycle bonus this week. And so this number is just going to sit there. But let's say I keep adding coaches to my left leg, adding them. Finally, I can start to use this right leg volume. But if I continue to add coaches to my right leg, this number is just going to get higher and I'm never going to be able to use it. It's just going to sit there. This is wasted money sitting there. Right? Wasted money. And the more I add coaches to that right side, the more that volume sits there. Because if I add a coach to my right and left side and all they do is buy Shakeology once a month, that's 90 on each side, right? So that number goes 5670 plus 90, and this number goes 63 plus 90. But what if I put both of those on my left leg? It's now 180 on this side, and I'm going to cycle bonus more because the 180 is on that left side, okay? So the goal really is to get your legs as even as possible so that you're using all of this banked stuff. And you can see I've had a slow fall. If I go down here to where I was really like making it big, which was like over the summer, I was doing really well. My numbers were down to like 2,000. Okay. Even here, but I was still at 3,000. So if I had just kept adding coaches to my left side, but I was worried about rank, so I was going to make it even on both sides. Now, certainly rank is helpful because as a diamond, you make not only $18 a cycle bonus, but you get to cycle bonus a lot more, right? So diamond is a good thing to strive for, but you could still be making $1,000 a week as a ruby, which is not too shabby at all. And if you're making that much money, you're obviously signing a lot of coaches or signing a lot of working coaches. So you should be pretty easily able to put your next couple coaches on your right-hand side to even things out and make yourself rank advance. I'll never forget this girl who's like an elite coach on one of the diamond pages was like, my husband's an emerald and he's maxing out every week, which basically means that he was, making $250 a week. How much money am I, and he's losing cycle bonuses because he was cycling so many times, but at some point you have to stop cycle bonusing because they won't pay you more than that as an emerald. She was like, how much am I losing if he's not a diamond? And so people were like doing the math and figuring it out. And then like 3 days later, she's like, okay, I got him the diamond. And I was like, where the hell are you getting all these coaches, man? How can you just decide to get your husband to diamond and then 3 days later he is? It was like baffling to me, but that's why she has a lot of money, I guess. I think this is the most confusing part, but it's the most important part. You guys have any questions about this? This is like the best time to ask questions. I now realize that there's like no possible way you could go back and do this yourselves because you all are probably very close to zero because it's literally Thursday. You just got paid. So
do you only cycle bonus if you're an emerald and up? Okay.
Yes.
Because I looked online, there's nothing. So I was like, that's normal, right?
Yes, but you should be banking. You should be banking volume, Olivia. All of you should be. So
okay.
like
yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah, because I asked Bethany that. If you go inactive, you lose that. But like Olivia, we talked about this. You were like, I don't want to go inactive because I think you said you put your Shakeology on hold, right? So yeah. I told you all you needed to do was keep 50 PV for the month. Okay. And you'll not only not go inactive, but you won't lose that volume either. Or I don't know if you lose it, but you don't make any more of it. Like it just sort of sits there. Whereas you're banking it continually. Right. So the best thing about that, about So here we can look here. Let's look at my paycheck. It's not big. Everybody just calm down. I know you're like ready to fall over and die, but sorry you won't. All right. See, it says team bonus here. I didn't sell anything. Want this week. Team bonus, $56. I click that. You can see how many times I cycle bonus. I cycle bonused once on the 3rd. I cycle bonused once on the 8th. I cycle bonused once on the 9th. And I cycle bonus 2 times on the 9th. For a grand total of, what did I make there? A nice chunk of change for doing nothing. $56. Oh, and unfortunately, I got paid at the emerald rate. So if I had been a diamond this week, I would have gotten 18, 18, 18, 18. So as you can see, that's sort of a bummer. We can go back here. We can go back and look at my very highest paycheck and show you how that broke down. That was very nice. It was in July. Where's July? Oh, wait. Confused. Oh, here it is. 342. Okay. So that week I sold $72.49 worth of stuff. And the nice thing is when you click it, it tells you where it came from. So I sold Shakeology to Mary, and I sold a club package to my aunt. Woohoo. Okay. So there's that. Then subscription commission is cool. That's when somebody is a club member. You get money from them being a club member or having a, Beachbody On Demand. You make money from that. And you make money from, if your coaches have that too. So Victoria paid her club membership, and so I made 40% of that. So that was $15.55. Then I made $198 from stuff my team did. Ka-ching! This is the best part. I cycle bonus on the 30th, on the 31st, 3 times on the 31st, once on the 1st, 3 times on the 1st, 6 times on the 2nd, 3 times on the 4th, and once on the 5th, for a grand total of $198. Okay? Just from stuff my coaches did, because my coaches are awesome. And then I got this fast start bonus, which, I think she became a coach, so I got money for that. And then, this is my favorite part, the matching bonus. You make 10% of all the money your coaches make when they cycle bonus. So, Emily, that week you cycle bonused once. I made $1.40 off of you, girl. Woo! An extra $1.40.
Yay.
Yay. Kristen made $54 in cycle bonuses that week, so I made $5.40 off of her. Guys, this is why you should sign your husbands.
Okay.
And if your husbands are emerald, you're not only making money off of their emerald, but you're making money again, because when Dan used the cycle bonus, when his cousin didn't quit, every time he made $14, technically I made it because he's not taking any of that money, I am. So he made $14, and then I made another $1.40. I know, $1.40. Everybody die. So exciting. Whatever. That's a drink at Starbucks. That's $6.80. Don't even, you know? So actually I am losing a lot of money with him not being emerald, so I got to quick fix that. That's my biggest concern, because the other thing is Dan is on my weak leg. So I actually buy everything except my Shakeology through Dan, because so when you are a coach and you buy something, you get a discount, right? And that's great, but it doesn't get you anything except a discount. Dan is a coach. When Dan buys me stuff, and by Dan, I mean me, he gets a discount, but that PV of Dan is my TV. And then I cycle bonus off of stuff I bought from Dan. More money for me. So if you can financially afford it, and I will tell you, when I first signed Dan, we could not financially afford it, but I did it anyway because I'm a psycho. And I gave him a customer. I gave him one customer because as long as one person buys Shakeology every 5 weeks, they remain active. So I gave him one customer who's actually a friend of ours who's been buying Shakeology nonstop for 3 years. Hasn't held a single Shakeology. I was like, great, you win. You're Dan's customer now. And Dan didn't have to do anything. Now, of course, Dan drinks it. I drink it. My brother drinks it. You know, we all buy it through Dan's account. I keep my Shakeology under mine just because I do. But if you can afford it, I would sign up a spouse or a parent. I've got my mom in there. You know, somebody. But here's the thing. Don't pay for all of those Shakeologies yourself. Because I had a coach who signed her husband and her dad up so she could be Emerald. And she was buying 3 Shakeologies a month. Don't you do that. You're not drinking 3 Shakeologies a month. That is expensive. Unless you're legitimately drinking 3 Shakeologies a month, which is crazy talk. It's expensive, and you'll have so much Shakeology. I was going to say it'll be coming out of your ass, but it will be because Shakeology helps you poo. So, you know. And I knew I couldn't go through this call without talking about poo because I love it. Okay. Any questions? Wow, really? I was so thorough and I explained everything so clearly.
I have a question.
I have so many questions, you don't know where to start.
All right, so if you sign up your husband or like a parent as one coach, then that's essentially like your weak leg?
There are varying opinions on what to do. Okay. I almost always go to my grave saying you should put them on your weak leg.
Okay.
Because you control that, right? So you're going to want to build your weak leg for volume. And so you can buy as much stuff there. You can put more coaches under there and more coaches. Like, you are Dan's coach. Mm-hmm. I could have put you're on my weak side. So at the very least, especially now because Dan's no longer an Emerald, you're helping my weak side. Mm-hmm. But you're helping Dan, who then also helps me. So I'm getting helped doubly by giving you to Dan. And that's why I decided to do that. Now, that's not really helping because Dan, like I said, Dan's not an Emerald, so he's not cycle bonusing from you. But all of that is still TV for me, which is helping me. So I almost always tell people to put the person whose account they can control, if that's the case. Or even if, like, let's say your mom wants to sign up as a coach and, like, legitimately wants to coach, because that's cool. You can still sort of, like, coach her through what to do and stuff. So you have a little bit of control over that. I would put them on your left side. Or on your weak side. Your weak side. Sorry. That's just my left side. Your weak side. Emily, your strong leg is your left leg. Olivia, your strong leg is your right leg. Okay. I think.
No.
I don't know either. I'm trying to remember where I put you. And Lindsay, I got nothing for you. I have no idea where you are. Because Bethany, so Lee, if you think of Lee being at the top of the triangle, Bethany is on one side of her and I'm on the other. So I don't benefit from anything Bethany does ever, except my, like, sincere happiness for her because I love her so very much. That's how I benefit from Bethany's success. It's because it makes me happy. But monetarily, I don't benefit at all from Bethany's success. So we're like sisters on opposite sides of the same mama. We're sisters from another mister or something. All right, I'm going to stop recording.